What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this evening. So we have a lot of information to cover in this update. We're going to be going over the craziness that we saw on the Ortex data in the securities lending market today with AMC. We have a new development with the SEC and hedge fund transparency reports that they are going to be voting on next week. So that is something that we definitely need to keep a lookout for and really see if Gary Gensler is going to step up to bat and really battle for retail investors. Then the second two things, honestly, probably the most important things in this video is one, we're going to be going over this situation circulating around that a lot of people are trying to essentially buy AMC all at one time on one specific day on Friday of this week, trying to push the price up to exactly $21. Now, I'm going to show you guys why, one, there's that manipulation, collusion side of it. Now, you can say what you want about that. We went over it in the stream today, but I'm going to go over how this is honestly one of the craziest, wildest, misinformed decisions that a lot of people are starting to make with evidence and exactly how to walk through this. Now, I am also going to go over a simple way that options work and what we would need to see out of AMC and purchases of options in order to set off the next massive squeeze. Now, nothing I say in these videos is financial advice. These are for educational and entertainment purposes only. And my goal with some of these videos, especially towards the end of this video right here, is to kind of show you guys the effects of options on price. And hopefully, if you are looking at trading options for yourself, you might be a little bit smarter in the options that you are selecting. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So AMC closed the day today at $18.32. Honestly, it held up very, very well today with the overall market, the S&P 500, closing down about 1%. On days like that in the past, we've seen AMC down upwards of 15% on a given day. It's bouncing up a little bit in the after hours here, which is a good thing to see. Now, coming over, let me just refresh this Ortex data right here. So we're seeing 75.93% utilization. We have about 4.74 million return shares. I believe this is a little bit of an adjustment because I do remember at one point seeing above 5 million returned shares today. That's a little bit strange. Then we see 3.54 million borrowed shares. We're seeing estimated short interest knocking on the door of 20%. And when we see these short interest numbers start to get above 20%, these estimated numbers, what we've typically seen on AMC in the past is a run back to the upside. But again, with the overall market behaving the way that it is, it might be a little bit more difficult for a move like that to happen. Now, when we come over to this article right here, the U.S. SEC to vote next week on boosting hedge fund disclosures, says Gensler. Now, what we're seeing here is that Gary Gensler told reporters that the SEC will vote to propose rule changes to form private fund, which many hedge funds and other private funds to which many hedge funds and other private funds file quarterly, detailing their purchases and sales of securities. So basically more transparency on the purchases and sales of securities of hedge funds. Why would they want to hide this? Well, it's possible that the most kind of benevolent situation that we would see here is that they kind of would just want to kind of hide some of their proprietary trading methods. The other thing is that they're manipulating stocks and they don't want people to see that they are doing this. Now, we need to get into this situation about this $21 price. The first thing that we need to understand that this is where the stem of how crazy this situation is arises from. When we come over to Max Pain right here, what is Max Pain? Well, when we look at this quick definition right here, the term max pain stems from the maximum pain theory, which states that most traders who buy and hold options contracts until expiration will lose money. The max pain or max pain price down here is the strike price with the most open contract puts and calls, and the price at which the stock would cause financial losses to the largest number of options holders at expiration. When you think about options holders, these are the people buying options. What is that on a day-to-day basis or a week-to-week basis? That's retail investors. Who are selling us these options? The institutions and the hedge funds. What is the max paying price at the current time for AMC this week? When we come over to this website here, what is the max paying? It is $21 a share. So what you're essentially saying here is that you want to push the price up all the way to the point where the market makers, aka Citadel, makes the most amount of money. That makes zero sense in my mind. Now, what you would actually want to do, if you guys have been paying attention to any one of my videos over the past couple of weeks when we've been talking about market maker hedging, is you need to get it above that range where the market makers are going to see that they can no longer sell enough puts to balance out the delta status, the net neutral delta, that the call increases on their delta side would essentially screw over that market maker's equation so that they would then have to go out on the open market and buy those shares. So the moral of this story right here is that anybody that is saying that they want AMC to finish at 21 on Friday at this current time with the max paying where it's at is essentially saying, I want to give the market makers the most amount of money out of the most crazy options chain that AMC has ever seen. Now, here's where this gets a little interesting. With the amount of call buying on AMC, it is possible that the max pain tomorrow and maybe even going into Friday steps down to 20 or even 19. At that point, then 21 would be a decent level to get to. Now, I really want to go over some of the ways that retail investors need to educate themselves in order to put themselves in a really good position to have some of these gamma squeezes. Now, we just recently saw it with BBIG. The stock is kind of flickering around right now. We don't really know what's going to happen with it, but it went on a very massive run because of all of the close to the money options. Now, what we're seeing here on Stock Tracker is 63,000 call contracts in the money for this week on AMC. Let me see if I can refresh this a little bit. It might be a little less. 63,000 call contracts in the money, 708,000 contracts out of the money. That is a crazy high amount. When we come over to the actual options chain for AMC right here, you can see that the majority of these options right here are concentrated at the $145 strike. Now, again, it doesn't make any sense to buy these 145s right now. I honestly cannot believe that there is a certain amount of volume here, 71, almost 7,200 in volume on this $145 strike today. Here's why. The bids on these contracts are zero and the ask is a penny. So you could get the 145 for a penny, but you could also get the $60 strike for a penny. Why wouldn't you want your option to be closer to the money and pay the same exact price? That essentially makes the $145 strike wildly overpriced, and it should not even be on the option chain at the given time. Now, I want to show you essentially what happens when you buy at the money or in the money contracts, and what it does to the buying pressure of the stock. And what we're going to use here is the $17 strike as an example. So this is what retail investors have done many times in the past. And again, this is not me telling you to go out and do this. I'm just trying to explain how things work so you can be better educated in figuring out where you personally want to put your money if you are going to trade options on your own anyway on AMC. So this $17 strike costs you about $160 right here. We see that the delta on this is about, right now it says 0.755. It changed a little bit from the time that I was looking at this, so I have it written down over here. $17 weekly strike costs about $160. The current trading price at close for AMC was $18.32. The delta on that strike was 0.7464, which is essentially the amount of shares or the percentage of shares that they would need to hedge out of 100 because every options contract controls 100 shares. If you took your $160 and bought that $17 contract, you have essentially forced the buying from the market maker of $1,367 worth of stock. When you put this at scale, you would essentially be taking a small amount of money, putting it into an option if this is what you personally wanted to do again. And the stock would get $1,367 worth of buying volume. So you can see how this is really levering the amount of buying power that you have and forcing a higher amount of buying volume to come into the stock. But again, Options still are, even at the money or in the money options, incredibly risky, and they still could expire worthless. So this is not a risk-free thing that you can do. It is still going to be more risky than buying shares. I just want to put that out for everybody. And what I want to really explain right now on AMC is I want you guys to think about the options chain and the gamma ramp that really sets us up to really skyrocket in a pyramid. Right now, we are missing that bottom rung, the last foundational layer of the pyramid. We have all of the other layers going all the way up to 145. We see 62,000 at 40. We see a bunch of contracts right here, 32,000 at 60, 15,000 at 65. We see a lot of contracts out here, all the way up to the top of the pyramid at 216,000 contracts. But it is going to be very difficult to get on that gamma ramp unless we see these in the money and at the money contracts pile up. That's just the way it is. Remember, when we talk about the options chain every week, we've seen people for months trying to get the word out to not buy options. That's not essentially the message. It's consider how the money that you're putting into an options contract is going to affect market maker purchases, and how likely is this to stay in the money by expiration. So the main point of this section of the video is to really try and educate, well, this is what we're looking at on the option chain right now, and this is what we need to see in order to have a stock move in that right direction. We need to see it get on the ramp. And again, we have 31,000 contracts at 20 right now, which is pretty good. There was a lot of volume here today. There was a lot of volume on these 19s, which only have about 3,800 open interest, but there's only 5,457 in volume at this 18 with 2,000 of open interest. And when we switch to the put side, there's a lot of contracts over here at 20. So you're essentially doubling up on the gamma and delta exposure on these over-leveraged institutions, these market makers, as we cross those levels. So I'm just trying to put this information out for you guys. If you have any questions about what we have covered in this update video, make sure you guys drop them below in the comments. But that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So I hope you guys are having a great evening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.